Every year, you can almost guarantee the Super Bowl MVP award will be given to the quarterback of the winning team. However, that isn't always the case. Today, we're going to show you the last 11 players that won Super Bowl MVP without playing quarterback. The 1996 Packers were an absolute wagon. Quarterbacked by Hall of Famer Brett Favre and sporting a defense led by Hall of Famer Reggie White. Former Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard from the University of Michigan was, however, a significant weapon for them on special teams, having scored 3 punt return touchdowns in the regular season and adding another punt return touchdown versus the 49ers in the playoffs. It is no secret that Howard had game-changing ability. While he accumulated 90 punt return yards in Super Bowl 31, his MVP award was secured in the third quarter when he took an Adam Vinatieri kickoff 99 yards for a touchdown. Howard would only play one more postseason game in his career, but his place in Super Bowl lore is secure. Green Bay returned to the Super Bowl the next year without Howard, and their opponent was the Denver Broncos. John Elway had already lost 3 Super Bowls, and a fourth loss seemed likely at the hands of the defending champions. The Packers were 11-point favorites in the game, but the game was tied in the fourth quarter before University of Georgia product Terrell Davis scored his third touchdown of the game to put Denver ahead for good. Davis had 157 yards on the ground that day and easily earned MVP honors. Davis would run for over 2,000 yards the next season as the Broncos repeated as champs. Unfortunately, injuries limited him to only 17 games between 1999 and 2001, but that was not enough to keep him from gaining entry into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, undoubtedly strengthened by his legendary performance in Super Bowl 32. If you're enjoying this video and constantly thinking about football history and facts, please like and subscribe to this channel. Always be thinking football. Let's get back to the list. The 2000 Ravens had arguably the greatest defense in NFL history, surrendering only 10.3 points per game, the lowest ever by a team in a 16-game season. Their stout defense led them to the Super Bowl versus the New York Giants. Ray Lewis from the University of Miami was the unquestioned leader of the Ravens, especially their defense. The Ravens held the Giants to only a kickoff return touchdown, allowing no points by the Giants offense and intercepting Giants quarterback Kerry Collins 4 times. While Lewis's stats weren't very impressive, he was clearly the choice to receive the honor as the game wound down and Baltimore completed their 27-point win to capture their first championship. Lewis, of course, went on to become possibly the greatest middle linebacker in NFL history and is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The 2002 Buccaneers are another Super Bowl champion that won mainly on defense. Led by Hall of Famers Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, John Lynch, and Rondé Barber, the defense gave up only 16 points in 2 playoff games to capture the NFC Championship. When they won Super Bowl 37, no one was surprised that a member of that defense would be named MVP of the game. However, few thought Florida State product Dexter Jackson would be that honoree. Late in the first quarter, and just over 5 minutes later in the second quarter, Jackson intercepted regular season MVP Rich Gannon twice, which completely frustrated the Raider offense. By halftime, the score was 20-3 in favor of Tampa, and they'd cruised to a 48-21 victory. Jackson would play 6 more seasons in the NFL, but really didn't do anything noteworthy. He can always say when the lights were the brightest, he rose to the occasion and played his absolute best. The 2004 Patriots are one of the most balanced Super Bowl champions ever, boasting a stingy defense and a powerfully consistent offense. Of course, the team was led by Tom Brady, so whoever won the MVP was going to have to shine extremely bright to wrestle it away from the GOAT. Louisville alum Deion Branch wasn't one of the top receivers in the league, but by Super Bowl 39, he had become Brady's go-to weapon and a consistent playoff performer. Catching 11 of the 12 passes thrown his way, Branch gained 133 yards for the Patriots that night, helping them best the Philadelphia Eagles 24-21. After the next season, Branch would force a trade to Seattle, where he would have 4.5 seasons of decent football before being traded back to New England during the 2010 campaign. After helping Brady and the Patriots get back to one more Super Bowl in the 2011 season, Branch only played one more year before retiring. The only Super Bowl MVP to be born in South Korea won the award for his performance in the 40th edition of the contest. University of Georgia product Hines Ward took home the coveted award after hauling in 5 passes for 123 yards, including a 43-yard fourth-quarter touchdown thrown to him by fellow receiver Antoine Randall. The game was the apex of a stellar career for Ward, in which he accumulated over 12,000 receiving yards, all for the Steelers. He'd also play in 2 more Super Bowls, winning one. He is yet to get the call to Canton, but if he does, certainly his efforts in Super Bowl 40 will be at the top of his resume. Another Steelers wide receiver was deemed most valuable at the conclusion of Super Bowl 43. Santonio Holmes from the Ohio State University grabbed 9 Ben Roethlisberger passes for 131 yards that night. The award was clinched when Holmes secured the game-winning touchdown pass with 35 seconds left, toe-tapping in the corner of the end zone to give the Steelers their 6th championship. The next season, Holmes had his lone 1,000-yard campaign. He moved on to the Jets for a few productive years after that and played his final year with the Bears in 2014. While he's not remembered among the greats of the game or even one of the best Steelers ever, he will always be a hero of Super Bowl 43. Malcolm Smith played for Pete Carroll at the University of Southern California and with the Seattle Seahawks. Winning Super Bowl 48 versus the Denver Broncos must have been made a little bit sweeter for both of them when Smith earned MVP honors. Malcolm was far from a star on defense, dubbed the Legion of Boom, but he separated himself that night in New Jersey by intercepting Peyton Manning in the second quarter and galloping 69 yards for Seattle's second touchdown of the game. He added 10 tackles and a fumble recovery to make his case for the award. Smith would last for 9 more years in the NFL, bouncing between 6 different franchises as a solid starting middle linebacker at times. His career might be almost completely forgotten by NFL fans if it weren't for his performance in Super Bowl 48. Another defensive player dominated Super Bowl 50 and was named the game's most valuable player. Taken second overall by the Broncos out of Texas A&M, Von Miller was expected to be great and delivered on those expectations from day one. But in 2015, he took it to another level. Dragging an aging Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl against the Panthers, Miller had 2.5 sacks in both the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. He also forced 2 Cam Newton fumbles that day, one of which the Broncos recovered for a touchdown, and the other, the famous fumble that Newton made a less than serious attempt to cover. While the Broncos have not done well since this game, Miller's career will no doubt land in Manhattan Day. He played at a high level for Denver until he was traded to the LA Rams mid-season in 2021, helping them to their Super Bowl victory that season. He continues to contribute for the Bills, but will certainly be retiring before long. His contributions to the Broncos' Super Bowl 50 win will not be forgotten anytime soon. When Julian Edelman was playing quarterback at Kent State, it's doubtful many people were thinking someday he would become one of the most prolific postseason wide receivers of all time. A key cog in the Patriots' 3 titles in the 2010s, Edelman racked up big numbers in playoff games year after year, culminating with a legendary performance in Super Bowl 53. The Patriots prevailed over the Rams that day, 13-3, in a contest dominated by defensive play. Despite the difficulty the offense had moving the ball and putting up points, Julian Edelman corralled 10 Tom Brady passes for 141 yards. Edelman was the easy choice for the MVP award that day. He'd only go on to play in 1 more postseason game, but he finished his career with a gaudy 118 receptions for 1,442 yards in the playoffs. Both totals currently 3rd all-time behind Jerry Rice and Travis Kelce. Whether his playoff accomplishments justify enshrinement in Canton remains to be seen, but Edelman's status as a Super Bowl legend can never be questioned. In 2021, Cooper Kupp put together possibly the greatest season plus postseason ever by a wide receiver, leading the league in all 3 major receiving categories. The Eastern Washington product compiled 145 receptions for 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns. That alone would arguably be the greatest season a receiver ever had. Kupp wasn't done. In 4 postseason games, he caught 33 passes for 478 yards and 6 touchdowns. His 8-catch, 92-yard, 2-touchdown game versus Cincinnati in Super Bowl 56 earned him the MVP award and capped off an unbelievable year for Kupp. It's hard not to think that all that production in one season took its toll, as Cooper has not reached those heights since, in part due to injuries. It's doubtful Kupp would change a thing though, since he was able to win Super Bowl MVP. That wraps up our non-QB Super Bowl MVPs. Please comment below on a subject or list you think about, and maybe we'll make a video for you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, always be thinking football.